Okay, hello viewers. Today we're going to look at an example under conic sections. Identify and sketch stating all the properties 9x squared minus 4y squared minus 36x minus 24y is equal to 36. So this falls under conic sections. We don't know yet whether it's a circle, it's an ellipse, hyperbola, or whether it's a parabola. So we don't know, okay? But if you look at the question, even before you start solving, the first thing that you check are, are the signs of the squared variables. The sign of x squared, the coefficient of x squared has a positive sign. That is 9x squared. So you can conclude from that one. Now the coefficient of y squared is equal to -4, meaning we suspect that this one is a hyperbola. Okay, it's either it's a hyperbola or something else, but not an ellipse, because ellipse demands that the coefficients of x squared and y squared must all be positive. So now we have that insight, and then now we proceed. Now, because we've got the squared variable x and the non-squared x, it means that we should first complete the square for the variables. So we'll do that for x and then do it for y, or do the same. So we're doing for x at the same time we're doing for y. After that, you'll be able to identify the conic section that we have. So we move. Step one, we complete the square. Okay, so we complete the square in step one. That is, we put the x's together and the y's together, the constant on the right. So we have 9x squared minus 36x, and then minus 4y squared minus 24y equal to 36. You see that? Now we move. So on the x part, we factor out the variable. Remember, the x squared must have a coefficient 1. The y squared must have coefficient 1. So here we'll have x squared minus 36 divided by 9, we get a 4x. Now I'm completing the square. That's the purpose why I'm doing this. So immediately I reach here, or maybe I'll be slow, I'll come back as my next step. So here we factor out again the 4. Then we'll have y squared. Now the negative into negative, we get a positive. At 24 divided by 4, we have 6y. Okay. Now we go for the actual completing. So we'll have x squared minus, I keep the 4x. Okay, so I'm assuming that you also want to see how we do the completing the square. I'd have gone for a shortcut. But then we go slow. We just remind ourselves on how to complete the square. So we get the half of this 4 and add it. So the half is 2. If I want, I can get it as a -2. And then I square it. Then I subtract the very thing. So you get the half of the 4. Square it as you are doing the addition and then the subtraction. -4. And then we have y squared plus 6y. What's the half of 6? 3. And then like that. Equal to 36. Okay. So when we do that, the next time we come, we want to get this x that is squared. We leave the square and pick that number inside. So we leave out the 4x. and then put everything under the square, and then we can evaluate this one. So we'll have minus 4. Because the negative inside the brackets is getting squared there, no problem. Minus 4. And then we do the same here. We have y plus 3 squared minus 9 equal to 36. And then now we can do the expansion. So 9 multiplied by these brackets, we're going to have 9 x minus 2 squared minus 9 times 4, 36. And then minus 4 multiplied by the brackets, negative 4 times negative 9, we get plus 36 equal to positive 36. So now we see this is minus 36, this is positive 36. So we get a 0 there. Okay, so the next step, we remain with 9 x minus 2 squared minus 4 y plus 3 squared is equal to 36. Now, we have seen that this is a hyperbola, but we must put it in a standard form before we name it. Remember the standard form? Because I've already seen how the variables are sitting, I'll put the standard form in the form of these variables that we have here. So the standard form is x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared is equal to 1. This is the standard form. Okay. So now, if we divide, let's divide by 36. We divide by 36. We divide by 36. What do we have? We're going to have x minus 2 squared. What is 9 into 36? So 9 into 36 is 4. Minus y plus 3 squared over, what is 4 into 36? 9 equal to 1. So we have seen that this is what? A hyperbola. Okay, now to show that you know what you're doing, you love what you're doing, and you like the outcome, you don't just say it's a hyperbola. You also say it's a hyperbola centered at this. So this will give you the center. So what is the center here? From the standard form, the center is h comma k. So in our case, we get x minus 2 equated to 0 and find x. So x is equal to 2. So this 2 is our h. And then y plus 3 will also equate to 0. So for y, so we get y is equal to minus 3, which is our k. So we say it's a hyperbola centered at 2, negative 3. Like that. So it's a hyperbola centered at 2, negative 3. That's how you name it. Okay? So we've done the identification. Now we must go and sketch it. Now to sketch a hyperbola, you need all the properties. Okay? It's not good for us to just be sketching things that are hanging without any information. No. We must sketch something and then give it every information that it needs. So that if somebody sees that sketch, they will be able to say a lot of things. Okay? A hyperbola is very rich in terms of properties. It's not just an open diagram. Okay, it's very rich in terms of properties. So we need to mention all of them. So now, we'll go to the next page and then do the sketch. Okay, so When sketching the hyperbola, what do we need? Okay, so we need the following. So to sketch, the hyperbola, we need one. The center, we already mentioned the center, we said is what? It's 2 comma negative 3. That's first thing. Second thing, we need the foci. Now the foci for this guy, since it's a transformed hyperbola, it's not sitting on 0 comma 0. So the formula for the foci is tempered with, it's not the one that you say H, I mean, we say C a comma K or plus or minus C comma K. No. So this one respects the center. Okay. So the center has an effect. So what we do? So we say the foci for this guy is going to be H, because we already know it's the X is positive. So it's elongated on the what? On the X axis. Okay, so it's elongated along the X axis. It's not a horizontal thing, it's a vertical thing. So we say H plus or minus C, comma, K. Now we must know what our C is. So just here, how do we find C? So C for the hyperbola, remember, it's C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Okay, do we know our A? Do we know our B? Or let's get back and check. We know our A because we said A squared sits below the X minus H. B squared sits below the what? The Y minus K. If you look at this guy, the standard one. So if you look at our equation, so we have the A squared is 4 and the B squared is 9. Okay, so we go and see. So we have our A squared is 4, our B is 9. Our B squared, I mean, is 9. So these, since we want them squared, we pick them the way they are in the denominators there. But when we come back to get A, we won't pick 4. We'll get the square root of 4 because what we have here is the A squared. Okay, so this guy is giving us what? 13. So it means that C squared is equal to 13. It implies that C is equal to plus or minus the root of 13. The reason why we say plus or minus there, because for the hyperbola, remember we have a 2 foci. So the left and the right in this setup. So our foci is going to be, what is H? H is 2. So we have 2 plus or minus the root of 13, comma, negative 3. We are done there. We have found the foci. What else is interesting about the hyperbola is that it has the asymptotes. It has what? The asymptotes. So I want to go for the serious things first, then we'll come back for other minor issues that we are able to just pick. So the asymptotes. In this case, what's the formula? So in this case, we have y is equal to the plus or minus b over a x minus h plus k. Okay, so here, now we need to know what is our b. Remember, since our a squared is equal to 4, our a is 2. Since our b squared is equal to 9, our b is 3. Okay. So we have that. So this will be plus or minus. What is b? B is 3 over a, which is 2. X minus what's h? H is 2. Plus k. Now k is negative 3. So we just say minus 3. Okay, now these are lines. Okay, these are lines. Okay, so when sketching, remember, these are 2 lines. The next, what do we need? We also need to know what the vertices are. So the vertices, at least here we have less work. is just h plus or minus a, comma k. Okay, which is 2 plus or minus what? 2, comma minus 3. So this is going to be, now let me put it down here. So this is going to be, now here we have 2 of them. So I'll write them like this. So we'll have 2 plus 2, that's 4 comma negative 3. And 2 minus 2, that's 0 comma negative 3. Like that. Interesting. So we have the center, the foci, asymptotes, vertices. What else do we need? Of course, you may need to know the intercepts. The intercepts. Okay. I don't want, when I put a sketch, people should be asking, now why is it crossing there? How did you know that it will cross there? So to avoid all those questions, you solve the intercepts. And then when you sketch your thing, it will be clear how do you know I have the points? So we put the points. So what are the intercepts? How do we get the intercepts? Okay. So the intercepts, we have the x and the y intercept. So we need our equation. So we have x minus 2 squared over 4. Then we have minus y plus 3 squared over 9. This is equal to what? Equal to 1. So to find the x-intercepts, you make y 0. Okay? So if y is 0, then we are finding the y-intercept. So what happens if y is 0? If y is 0, we're going to have x minus 2 squared over 4 minus, when y is 0, this guy is going to be 3 squared over 9, meaning 9 squared, meaning 9 over 9, which is 1. So I'm going to have minus 1 equal to 1. Okay? Minus 1 equal to 1. So that this whole thing becomes x minus 2 squared over 4 is equal to 2. So if we cross multiply, we get x minus 2 squared equal to 8. Then you square root. We square root. So we're going to have x minus 2 equal to the root of 8. Remember, the root is always plus or minus. So this means that we'll have x equal to positive 2 plus or minus the root of 8. Now, these guys, they're sitting as, whenever we find the x-intercept, we know it is this x, comma, 0. Because we said y must be 0 at this point. We said if y is 0, meaning we are finding the x-intercept. Now, if x is 0, we want to find the y-intercept. Okay? So if x is 0, so what happens if x is 0? So this is x-intercept. Okay. Now, if x is 0, what we get? We are going to have 4 over 4, which is 1. So we'll have 1 minus y plus 3 squared over 9 equal to 1. What happens? When this one goes the other side, we get a 0. So we're going to have minus y plus 3 squared over 9 equal to 0. If we cross multiply, we multiply throughout by 9, we're going to get minus y plus 3 squared equal to 0. Divide the negative into 0, we get y plus 3 squared is still equal to 0. If we square root, what do we get? We'll have y plus 3 equal to 0. This means that y is equal to minus 3 is the y-intercept. The only y-intercept that we have. Here we had 2. Remember, we had 2 plus root 8, comma 0. We also had 2 minus root 8, comma 0. Two of them. But for the y, it's only negative 3. So it will be 0, comma negative 3. So y-intercept is 0, comma negative 3. It's always x, comma y. Then these guys, they are 2. So we have 2 plus root 8, comma 0. And 2 minus root 8, comma 0. Like that. So, so this is the intercept. This is also the intercept. X-intercepts and then y-intercepts. Okay. What else do we need to know? We are going to draw those lines as our asymptotes. Okay. So maybe you want to be interested to know where they are cutting the intercepts as well. Okay. So what happens when x is 0? It will be touching the y. Okay. Of course, you need that information when you're sketching. Yeah, you do. So the first one, we are saying, y is equal to positive 3 over 2 x minus 2 minus 3. So suppose x is 0, meaning you want the y-intercept. So we're going to have 3 over 2 minus 2 minus 3. So that is 3 minus 3, which is equal to 0. So we have an intercept at 0, comma 0. It means so. So we have an intercept at 0, comma 0 for that line. Okay. What about the x? Why is it cutting the x? So if it cuts at 0, comma 0, meaning it will cut both. Yeah, because at 0, comma 0, remember, that's where the x and y are meeting. So it will cut both. So this one only cuts at that point. And then the other one, y is equal to minus 3 over 2, x minus 2 minus 3. This one, when x is 0, you get positive 3 over 2, 2 minus 3. Is it? Oh, okay. So the other one, I have negative, negative. So it's going to be negative what? Negative, negative. So it's going to be negative, negative 6. So this one is negative 6. So I have a negative 6 here. Yeah, comma 0. And then this one now, it is 3 minus 3, which is equal to 0. This one is the one that is going to be at 0, comma 0. Okay, so these two lines. And then the other one, that one on top, since it's cutting there, it might cut the x. When y is 0, yes, it will do. So let's see. So we cross, when this guy is 0 this side, we are going to have 0. Just bring the 3 this side. So I'm going to have positive 3 is equal to 3 over 2 times negative 2, which is equal to negative 3. What am I doing? So I have 3 over 2 x minus 2. When that guy is 0, when y is 0, then if you cross multiply, or just multiply by 2 over 3, by 2 over 3, so I remain with a 2 on the left. So 2 is equal to x minus 2. So that means that x is equal to 4. So it will cut at 4, comma 0. Yeah, it will cut at 4, comma 0. The x-axis. Okay, I think now we have everything. So we have the center, we have the foci, we have the asymptotes, we have the vertices, we have the intercepts. For the curves, since there are 2, we also have the intercepts for the lines of asymptotes. Yeah. Now we can sketch. Now we can sketch. Not a big deal. Let's sketch now. Okay, so I'll sketch. Okay, so we said the vertices are what? What were the vertices? So we check. So we had the vertices, first the center, then vertices. So the center, then vertices. Center, then vertices. So if you check the center, we have 2 comma negative 3. Okay. So center, we have 2. Let me put 2 here, comma negative 3. This is our center. Okay. What else? Then the vertices, we have 4 comma negative 3. We have 4 comma negative 3 here. We also have 0 comma negative 3. 0 comma negative 3 here, like that. So these are vertices. Then we've seen that this guy is going to touch the curve is going to have intercepts at 2 plus. So here I must be a bit careful how I put my points. Okay. Let me put this below, because it's just slightly above 4. So it's 2 plus root 8. And then here it's here it's 2 minus root 8. Okay. So on the right, I have something like this. This is my curve. I have something like this. Okay, that is my curve. And then I want it to look a bit nice. How do I do it? Okay. So it's going to be nice. Like that. Okay, much better. And then like this. And then the asymptotes. Remember those 2 lines? So one is touching at 4 comma 0. There, meaning because they must all touch the center. So this is the setup. Then it continues going. So one is touching at negative 6. Then the other one is touching at 0. These are straight lines. I need the ruler here, but not a big deal. You guys can do straight lines. Okay, like that. What else do we need? So we need to know what these lines are. We need to label them. So this one, negative gradient. So it's y is equal to negative 3 over 2 x minus 2 plus 3. And then this one, positive. Y is equal to 3 over 2 x minus 2 plus 3. The center, we know the center is 2 comma negative 3. Okay. The four sides, at least they are labeled there already, but maybe you want to label them as well, like that. And this is 0 comma negative 3. Now the four sides. So we have the four side there at what? We have the four side at 2 plus root 13, comma negative 3. So 2 plus root 13 comma negative 3. And then here we also have a foci at what? 2 minus root 13. So 2 minus root 13, comma, negative 3. Like that. Okay. So we have put everything, is it? Yeah, we've put the intercepts, we've put the asymptotes. Okay. So you want to observe also that there where you are doing the solving of the intercepts for the lines. Okay, so I was doing that. So in case you want to do it. Okay, but even if I didn't do that, I could still know where they're touching because these guys, they touch on the what? They touch on the vectors, on the coordinates for the vectors. That's why they touch because they form this box. This box that is formed here. This box. So you see, they must form that box. This one. So even if I don't solve for those intercepts, I can still just use the vectors, the coordinates for the vectors. And then I'll have that. Okay, so this is how you sketch a hyperbola on what? The one that lies on that's located on the x. And you've seen the property that are needed. So this hyperbola question in an exam is very rich. Most you find is 9 marks, 12 marks, because there's much work that you're doing. There's a lot of work that you're doing. A lot, as you can see. This whole board is scattered. Okay. And then look at where you're coming from. Okay. But I want you to put this information whenever you're asked to do that, because you don't just do it for marks. You are doing it because you know the thing, you own the information, so you can write as much as you can. Of course, in an exam, I should be mindful that there's time involved. So if I know the steps very well, some of these you can be skipping. But like computing the square, I can put maybe 3 steps in one line. But then you need all the properties. You can't skip the properties. So you need to put the center, you need to put the foci, you need to put the asymptotes, you need to put the vertices. Of course, questions they will specify. If they say discuss, you put everything. You put everything. You don't leave out any. Okay? So these are key things that you need. Now, these lessons, they continue. I've got a lot of these lessons with me here, a lot of them. So in case you need, like those who need some help, you can just WhatsApp me on. So you WhatsApp, oh, how do I WhatsApp? So we chat here. So you WhatsApp me, let me just do this. So you WhatsApp me on 0771 349994. So if you're outside the country, if you're outside Zambia, you do the +26. Yeah. And then you find I'm most reachable here. If you want to use the mail, you can use this one. Okay, so what other things do I offer? Some of you may just need a topic. Say, okay, I want to revise a topic. I'm available for that. Some of you, you want to do the whole trail sheet. We can do the trail sheet and end business there. If you want to do a review of the whole course, we can do a review of the whole course. You don't need to spend much time on a topic. So if a topic is giving you a headache, you engage experts so that you do it within a short period of time and then you move on. Okay, so is it only, so this topic falls in 2110 engineering math. It also falls in 2100 analytic geometry. So not only these, most of the math courses, you just reach out available and in the special packages. So if you just say, okay, me, I want to see how to do this, most of them, some are already done, I just give you. Some we do together, or some I do for you if you need. Mostly per hour, I charge less, not that much. Mostly per hour is it ranges between 70 and 150 per hour, depending on the work that is there. So sometimes you find just stuck on like a topic, you can just pay for an hour and then we see how far we go. Okay, goodbye.